for the TikTok live streams. But I have to keep going live on the TikToks. Right, okay, we have hot mic. We are live. And I will... Right. Okay. We're still on the starting screen, so they can hear us, but they can't. One day I'll probably stop streaming to TikTok, because of TikTok I can't mute at the start of streams. So I'll probably be switching it over to Rumble or something soon properly. Yes, TikTok, I know you can hear me complaining about you. And here we are! We are live! Everyone should be able to see us on the screen now. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the massively late video. This one, I got stuck with work stuff. Which, to be fair, I'm normally late anyway. So me being late I'm actually late for a reason this time instead of just general unprofessionalism. But anyways, I'm here with good old Tripp Ainsworth, the author of Smoke Pit Fairy Tales. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tripp.
That's the start of the introduction. The Pumpkin Bear in the chat goes very, very late. I am very, very late. Although technically, because I changed the time to 7:45, I am technically only 5 minutes late.
Yeah, but you told me 7 the other day. So
realistically, I'm 51 minutes late. Technically, I'm only 5 minutes. I'm only 6 minutes late. But yeah. So the theme of the show today is a much more light-hearted one than it was last week. Obviously, last week I had History Revealed on. We was complaining about the Yasuke. I'm pronouncing it Yasuke now because everyone's mad at me calling him Yasuke. But the Yasuke Assassin's Creed controversy. So we're doing something a lot more light-hearted today. With the British versus American cryptids, which is I'm not quite sure if this will be like a who has a better history.
No. It'd be who would win in a fight. Like if Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster get put in a fucking ring and they get bare knuckle boxing. Wait, no, they get barbed wire around their knuckles, right? Fucking 3 rounds, just.
I would love to see that. I would be like, also Pumpkin Bear in the chat says hi Tripp. Stephen says, History Daddy, try not to be late, challenge impossible. So Willie says, you took so long to start, I learned a new language. Jag tigdala svenska nu. I've been learning Swedish for 200 days. Oh, congratulations. I've been learning German for just over a year now, and I still can barely do any of it. Why do I want to learn German? I want to get into politics.
Ja, ich habe keine Idee.
Okay, right, anyways.
Es tut mir leid, mein Deutsch.
The King says Mothman is the greatest cryptid. That's a Wendigoon fan in the audience, that is.
Well, that's the thing, though, is the Mothman... I mean, I know that we call him a cryptid, but, like, for it to be a cryptid, isn't the Mothman more of a monster? Because wouldn't a cryptid be, like... something that's just an animal that like science hasn't said actually exists yet, like something that there's multiple of that have like they eat, they breed, they friggin' have an environment, an area that they live in, and then like I don't know, die off or something. Just
I've always felt a cryptid is basically like it's a 50-50 split. It's either a piece of folklore that people have held on to and then on a drunken night out they've come home and be like, oh, there's a unicorn walking through the street, and it's just June. I don't know if that's an okay pride joke or not. We'll find out if I get cancelled. I feel like I can get away with that on YouTube. I'm on the Brazilian cryptid side. We're not doing Brazilian cryptids today because Brazilian cryptids are insane. They've got like a version of Bigfoot that's just a torso, and the entire torso is a giant face. There's like Brazilian cryptids are another message. Yes, sorry, I forgot to switch it to all messages instead of all chat. Sorry. I always forget on the YouTube channel because YouTube for some reason puts it to top. Anyways, I'll start off with a I'll start off with the Wood Woes to make it simple. So the Wood Woes, if for those of you who haven't seen my video on it, the Wood Woes is probably my second favourite mythology video I've done after the Morrigan. The Morrigan's like one of my favourite Celtic gods. Obviously, doesn't beat the real one. To put that out there before I get sent straight downstairs. But the Wood Woe is probably my favourite video I've done because the Anglo-Saxons basically had Bigfoot before Bigfoot was a worldwide phenomena, and our version fights dragons.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, like my favorite. So the Woodwoes, there's loads of myths, and some of it leans into the sea where they would find them in the like. There was one story where they found him in the sea. He didn't speak English, and he was just this hairy dude, and we know he wasn't French because they would have automatically killed him. So even though, so it was just this smelly hairy dude they found in the sea. They took him back to the castle, tortured him, couldn't get any answers out of him because he wasn't speaking any like human language, and then so they gave him like a pen, like a little children's play area on the beach, and then like there was like you can stay in here, and then he escaped the pen because it was like a very poorly made constructed wood, and he just ripped it apart and walked off. And in some stories he becomes a mermaid. It gets really weird. It's a lot of British folklore, especially if it's more Celtic than Germanic based. Gets really weird really quick, and normally involves actually the Woodwoes is mostly famous for, even today when the modern sightings persist, it's famous for like eating life. So in America you've got the aliens come down, they rip out the eyes and the organs of the cows and stuff. We have that, but with Woodwoes. So that the same principle, except he's a lot messier, obviously. So it'd like steal cattle. He's always done it. There's a very famous Welsh story, which isn't explicitly the Woodwoes, because Woodwoes is the Anglo-Saxon specific. But the Irish also have their own version of the Woodwoes, and it's a slightly different name in Gaelic that I can't pronounce. But so
Gaelic.
Yeah. My Irish ancestors are currently in heaven, just losing their mind that you made that. Anyways, they try and catch this orange guy because he's coming in. He's stealing the livestock, and he starts coming into town. They're terrified he's going to steal the children. So they ask a wizard in the story, local.
Naturally.
Yeah, a local druid. Or it's specifically that I've seen both wizard and druid used, and the Welsh sources tend to say druid.
Well, I mean that's kind of like a thing though, because like even if you get back to the Arthurian stuff, isn't fucking Merlin halftime just a druid, and he's like not... him being a wizard is kind of like a newer vernacular fucking term for him.
Yeah, it's because with the Arthurian myths, like it's very, very clear that he was probably a Romano-Briton who was fighting off the Saxons, and that's the actual story. And so like a druid advisor would make a lot of sense. And yes, that is me. Sorry to every Englishman watching, but King Arthur is Welsh, and we kind of have to just accept that at this point.
Hey, he's not French.
Yeah, that's true. The French have tried to steal him as well. I feel like everyone should be more upset that the French tried to claim King Arthur.
Yeah. Who's the French one? Was it Galahad?
I think so.
Like the French added, like he's like no, he was always part of the story.
Yeah. It's the pompous one. It's probably Lancelot, because Lancelot steals Guinevere, and that's a very French thing to do. Is steal the guy's missing. Oh, that's very xenophobic of me. I love the fact that I said, right, before we go live, be careful, and so far I've said all of the cancelable thing. Although every day.
Don't worry, we'll get there.
It's fine, we'll get there. What was I going with this? Anyways, the druid / wizard says you need to get a dog with the same hair color. That doesn't work, obviously. And eventually, what happens is the Woodwoes comes into the village and he sticks his hand in, and there's a woman waiting, like she's awake because she's terrified of being kidnapped by the Woodwoes, and we'll get to why she's terrified of that in a minute. And he puts his hand in, and she slams down. It's a dagger. I think it's a dagger in the actual story, and then obviously he pulls his hand away, and they follow the blood trail back to a cave, and then they just assume that he died in the cave, and then no one ever goes into the cave, which I think is code for every single man in the village was low-key shit scared of this thing. It was like, I know he definitely died of blood loss, we're not going to go into the cave. And the Woodwoes did disappear after that, to be fair, but it's probably likely just went to a different village. And the reason that she would have been scared, now that when I spoke to Aidan Mattis about the Woodwoes on his podcast, he explained to me that the fighting of dragons may have just meant that the Woodwoes was like the English folklore protecting against the Welsh, because obviously Welsh dragon, so that may have just been symbolism for fighting the Welsh. I prefer the idea that the British version of Bigfoot just goes out of a big club and fights dragons. That's a lot more fun to me if you take it literally. But I'll let you get in quickly. I'll just finish off with this one, and then we'll go on to you can take on the Bigfoot. So the Wood Woes, there is a lady version of Wood Woes, and in all of the paintings I ever found of the lady Wood Woes, hairy everywhere, apart from the boobs and the face. And I'm like, medieval painters, like, they had taste. Clearly, they were...
No, hold on. I'm going to stop you real quick. Now, when you say hairy everywhere, do you mean absolutely everywhere, or like everywhere besides like where you're supposed to have hair?
It's medieval. They weren't showing the pubic region. That was very.
Okay.
That was still.
So are we sure that this is a female woodwoe or just a French woman?
It could have been. It could have been your average American hippie in the 80s as well. To be fair, but yes. But the stories were that the lady woodwoes with hair everywhere apart from like starting here and then excluding the boobs, and would lure men into the forest and seduce them. How that would work, I don't know.
I have no idea how that would work.
Yeah, I should like. How desperate have you got to be and be like, there's a hairy woman in the forest. I guess I'll go and sleep with her. But the male...
Well, I mean, the French keep fucking procreating. Like, it's not that hard to imagine, man.
My favorite... Well, it's not favorite. So the male woodwoes would come along. Now, there's two versions. If the male... If he's portrayed holding a club up, I believe that means he's still a pagan woodwoes, and if it's down, that means he's a Christian woodwoes.
Oh.
How they converted the British version of Bigfoot, don't know. Very brave.
I mean, that's cool that they fucking made your guys' Bigfoot accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Like,
yeah.
I mean, neat. That means I get to hang out with it when I go to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine that. They just get to heaven, and the first guy you meet after talking to St. Peter, St. Peter's just like, right, now, you're going to be a really weird moment, and you're going to be like, is Hitler up here? And you're going to be like, yes, but... Well, that's not the weird thing, and then just Bigfoot's there, and then you realise that, wait, so what did you say about Hitler? As you're talking to Bigfoot, and Bigfoot's like, don't worry, he's here as a pinata.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, though, is there's, and this is kind of directly related to that, but, like, what Operation Paperclip was, right?
Yeah.
There was also another, I forget what it was called, but there was also another thing like that was very similar. We're bringing a bunch of German soldiers over to, work on stuff that we didn't have the best science for, but it was for animal doctors. And do you know why that was?
No.
Because they were all veterinarians.
I walked straight into that. I didn't even realize. Oh dear. Anyways, long story short, the woodwoes would famously go into your village, bonk your wife over. The pagan woodwoes specifically would bonk your wife over their head, and then he would take her back to the cave and make her his woodwoe's wife, which is a scarily common theme. There's like stories of wild men in China that would specifically kidnap women because they only had a male population. Which is just
it's called human trafficking. Like it happens. Like it's shitty, but like it's been there forever.
Oh dear.
Help! I got human trafficked by Bigfoot. Where's that fucking erotic novel? Wait, no, horror novel. That's what I meant.
Give it, but no. I've seen what book talk goes for. It would be an erotica novel.
Yeah.
They did the video on that mob boss kidnapping a woman and then she falls in love with him on Netflix a few years ago, and everyone was like, "This is so hard." I'm like, "What?" Anyways,
excuse me,
Bigfoot. Bigfoot.
Oh no! I mean, that's the funny thing though. So like, obviously, like there's going to be some spatial disparity between like say like UK cryptids and American cryptids, just based off of the fact that y'all have an island and we're most of a fucking continent. So like, as far as like hairy ape men go, there's a Bigfoot, and a lot of people just wrap them all together. Like Bigfoot's Bigfoot, Sasquatch is Bigfoot, the swamp ape is Bigfoot, the skunk ape is Bigfoot. A lot of times the dogmen are also Bigfoot, and it's like they're all their own different geographical things. Like say Bigfoot lives up in like the Pacific Northwest, Sasquatch is more of a Canadian thing, and then like the skunk ape is an American Southwest like swamp Bigfoot.
It's like Florida, isn't it?
Monster.
The Skunk Ape was always my favorite growing up with Monster Quest.
Yeah, right. But like, if you're only like kind of like half paying attention, they're all Bigfoot. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's funny. And I like the Bigfoot of the Pacific Northwest. I think is the most plausible cryptid. And I don't. I wouldn't say I believe in Bigfoot, but I also don't not believe in Bigfoot. And there's like a couple of reasons for this. Like, the Pacific Northwest is fucking huge. And it's not really well developed, and it's not that well explored. It's like, all right, we got a big city here that's got a couple million people in it, so you think there's a lot of people in the state, and then fucking woods for a couple hundred miles. And like, there is absolutely fucking space out there for something to, have a ecosystem that fits in an area where the human population isn't. And I'm going to tie that up. My last point's going to tie that together. And the other thing is, like, up in that area, the natives all fucking say that there's a Bigfoot, and they've seen it. The Native Americans have all fucking seen that Bigfoot and say, or big feet, Bigfoots, and they say it's there.
Yeah.
The European settlers all say there's a Bigfoot there or big feet there, and that they've all seen it. And the people that say it don't exist are like fucking doctors from New York and Los Angeles that go up there for a week, stomp around like 300 yards in the woods and go, well, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Must not exist.
It's
but the other, and the other thing though, that alone, I'd be like, okay, all right, fine. But what really sold me on, like, yeah, you know what fucking could be, was if you look back in fucking like other, like, the old world's mythology and folklore, like for thousands of years, like, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Phoenicians and shit, they'd say, yeah, if you go down, like, past the Sahara, down into the jungles, like, there's hairy ape men up there, like, their version of Bigfoot, and they'd come up and everybody like, yeah, you're fucking insane, but, like, neat story, dude. And then in, like, 1910, we discovered gorillas.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's like, if gorillas are that recent, like, as far as not being cryptids, Bigfoot could exist. Oh, the other thing with that, though, is gorillas' fucking habitats, like, fucking... People think gorillas are all over Africa. They're like in... I forget exactly how big their habitat is, but it's like smaller than most U.S. states. Yeah, so like
have you heard of?
Yeah, so if all gorillas could live in that area, yeah, there could be a Bigfoot hive.
Have you heard of like the Congo ape man? I mean, it's very unlikely it's real. It's meant to be like a chimp that just stands up and acts like a human, but they're like terrified of humans.
Yeah, but actual chimps do that.
No, I mean like all the time. Like it's like proper like human like logistical limbs. They're fairly certain it like doesn't exist, but there's like one or two stories I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, but it's you have to like tiptoe around that one, because if you just say, yeah, dude, there's a bunch of like monkeys that look like people running around Africa, it's like, whoa, you want to get canceled right the fuck now.
So when you word it like that, it sounds also
well, you cannot get on the internet and say that.
Yeah. Pumpkin Bear 7 says Honey Island swamp monster is the Louisiana Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So you've just got a million different types. I suppose it's like, because in Europe there are different like types of wild men. Like the Leshy is the father of the forest. He's a big green man, and the green man myth as a whole. There's a Spanish version. There's a French version of the Woodwoes. Like yada yada yada. There's a Finnish version. When I did my Woodwoes video, there's a Finnish version of it. So I'm assuming just because Europe is basically what the US is, just on the other side of the planet, and all independent. So yeah, that's why like I can see why you've got so many different versions of the Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, that like say like Sasquatch specifically, the more Canadian one, that the natives have said that thing's been there fucking forever, and they don't think that it's a physical being as much as it's like a forest entity.
So like the Leshy.
Yeah.
I'm very much in the camp of, obviously I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I think the Woodwoes did exist at one point in some form. Could have just been a hairy hermit. Could have been Frenchman showing up. Could have been like an actual ape man roaming the British Isles. Do I think it's around now? Its population would have to be in the hundreds. And if it does still exist, it is drastically close to extinction. There are still stories of livestock going missing in the areas that it would have historically been. But Bigfoot,
you want to, but you want to blame that on everyone's got livestock that gets killed, and it's got to get blamed on something, whether it's that or it's aliens or it's fucking El Chupacabra or I think there's a sea witch in Asia that'll kill your fucking goats too. But it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, as Pumpkin Bearers actually just brought up in the chat, there is the beast of Bodmin Moor and the big cats that are meant to roam the countryside. So if there's a few of them roaming around in the breeding population, woodwoses. Yeah. But I think 100% the American Bigfoot is real. You've got too much space and too many stories.
Yeah. And even if like that, like Bigfoot, not everything Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The Pacific Northwest one, even if that's not real, there's stuff up in those woods that like we haven't fucking seen yet, and that could be anything from a Bigfoot type thing to just like a different kind of like coyote or wolf that has been properly taxonomically categorized.
I love like the Dogman myths and stuff. Although like because that you start getting into like the Appalachian Mountains. As someone said, I love the cryptids from Fallout 76, like the Flatwoods. I saw that the other day. I was playing Fallout 76 and the Flatwoods monster just appeared, and I was like, what the fuck? And I shut myself.
So I went to the Flatwoods Monster Museum because it's maybe about 2-3 hours away from here, and I was really upset with it because my living room is bigger than it, and I was like, come on, man, come on, this is a hole in the wall. Fine, give me the little fucking souvenir book and the t-shirt. But no, the Flatwoods Monster is also like a really weird story too, because it's not much of a story, because the Flatwoods Monster was roaming around. Some kid saw it, said, holy shit, went and grabbed his mom. His mom and the kid look at it and go, holy shit. They grab the cops. Mom, the kid, and the cops are like, holy shit, and then the thing disappears. It's like that's almost the whole story.
It never came back?
No, like one of the theories is that like it was an alien that like crashed and then like got spotted before its buddies came and picked it up.
So like
it's not like a lot to it.
Very mid E.T. basically.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg wouldn't get much of a film out of that. That's kind of depressing. How do you get an entire museum and like, because like I the Flatwoods Monster over here, like when you were into Cryptids and stuff, that's really hyped up, and I was like, oh, one day I can't wait to go to the Flatwoods Museum, and now you've just destroyed all my hopes and dreams.
No. I mean, it's smaller than my living room, like, and I don't have a big living room.
That's depressing. How have they? That they need to invest more in their tourism boards, but But the real question is, before we move on, who do you think would, bearing in mind, so the Woodwose, I think it's about 8 feet tall and quite slender. In the modern retellings, in the older tales, it's about 6 foot normal human height. But in the modern ones, it's very much like about 8 foot. And some of those stories are, I heard the Woodwose talking to me and he was cute, and I was like, no, he wasn't. No, if there is an 8-man in the British, it's not cybernetic, it's not telepathically talking to you. But yeah, so who do you think would win the I mean, obviously you've got like 8 different Bigfoots to choose from, but
well, our Bigfoot has a monster truck. It's called Bigfoot. He would run over yours.
Yeah, but mine would just like get his dragon that he's like subdued and tamed.
No. He already killed the dragon, man. Like, you can't bring the dragon in. The dragon's fucking dead. You need to get a necromancer involved, and that is a different fucking argument.
Yeah, and that's true. If he's a Christian Woodwose, he can't use the necromancer.
But if he's a Woodwose with the club up, then he could. Although, no, it's funny because, like, you get all these Bigfoot spottings, but, like, Bigfoot will allegedly, like, throw rocks at people or, like, go and smash boulders together or, like, hit trees with logs or, like, beat on your door. But, like, no one's actually made physical contact with him, like, touched him that I know about. Like,
I know.
I'm sure there's a story out there, but, like, I've never heard of, like, Bigfoot, like, I don't know. Like, I've never heard of, like, roving feral gangs of Bigfoot on motorcycles going and abducting women and taking them back to their fucking, like, Hell's Angels fucking lair, The
Woodwose is just straight up abducting women. Although I do know a couple stories of, it's normally like the alien abductions. Like, I believe a lot of alien abduction stories, I will admit. But it's normally the sort of stories where the woman's like, oh, I was taken into woods by Bigfoot and then I shagged Bigfoot. I was like, no, you didn't. No, you're way too happy about this story for this to be real. But the I do know like some of like kids being kidnapped and looked after by the Bigfoot, or not kidnapped. The kid gets lost and then Bigfoot finds him and stuff. Like a lot of the American, apart from like the wood knockers that I've seen Wendigoon talk about, like the Appalachian stuff. Appalachia's another one because everyone goes like the Highlands is always our spooky bit, like the forests up there, and the Appalachian Mountain and all those forests are spooky. If you go back in time, those connect.
Yeah, they're the same mountain line.
And I'm like, that's weird that all of our really spooky stuff is in the Scottish Highlands and all your really spooky stuff in the Appalachia. Yes. Like, what did you give us when we separated? What were we trying to run away from? Yeah. There's nowhere to bounce. But that brings me on to like the Anfialaeth Moor, which is basically the Scottish Bigfoot, but it's a lot more mystical. So a lot of people like sort of hear stepping behind them, and a lot of scientists say that's an echo. There's only 2 visual sight, oh no, 3. There's my favorite one, which I'm almost certain is fake because of the setup. Is there was a group of couples on a hike up Ben Macdui, which is the second tallest mountain in Britain. Yeah. No, it wasn't an orgy.
No. I wanted to stop you for what is it? The scientists say that's just an echo. Like, how come somebody sees something and scientists get to say, well, actually that's probably this, that, or the whatever, but like scientists don't say shit and everyone else doesn't get to say, shut up, nerd.
It should happen more often. This is what
like when was the last time your pasty ass was outside? Go out in the woods, fucking nerd.
Like, I get it. Like, it's 50-50 on the local. Like, a lot of the locals, like, say, like, be careful, like, the stuff. I obviously, again, you have to remember with a lot, especially in Scotland and stuff, like, with the Loch Ness Monster, if there's a piece of folklore that brings in tourists, they're going to hype that. It's not like if it's bringing in tourists.
Like, there's a reason everyone knows what the fucking Loch Ness Monster is.
Yeah. There's a reason it is the standard definition for a seaborne cryptid, because the local council's tourism board went all out. It's why Shawnee Bean, I know, the weird cannibal that was said to be in Scotland, that was 100% just English propaganda against the Scottish, and then the Scottish went, excellent, we'll now have your tourists. And I was like, just now we pay them for a myth we made up. But yeah, like most of the time it's voices people hear. I think it was Norm McCauley. I did a video on this so long ago, and where like he went up the mountain, didn't hear anything, and as he was going down, he heard it. But it wasn't a repeated footstep. So every 3 of his, he would hear a step, and he realized whatever is behind me is taking such large steps that every time I've taken a 3rd step, it's taken 1. And then, so he just went, solid, and he sprinted down the mountain. Then he didn't hear any footsteps for a bit, and then he heard it coming after him, and he said he didn't stop until he reached, like, the forest below. There's another story where these guys were driving a car along the road, and it kept pace with them. They did see it. But again, most of these are auditory sightings. My favourite story is, again, all the young couples in this one. It's really nice. It's like a lake beach up, like, halfway up the mountain. Scotland is a beautiful country. I really want to live there one day. It's my favourite country in the world. And so one of the couples, then these aren't the couples, so one guy, his wife is asleep, and the other one, I think the wife is her sister. So she go out, and the husband and the sister were spending the night alone on this little lake beach. And then they said, oh yeah, we were talking, and then we saw footsteps. They didn't see actual being. They saw the footsteps appear on the beach, and I'm just there like, you clearly were banging, and you just needed a good reason for an excuse for the noises. But that's why it's my favorite story, because it's so clear what was actually happening. And then obviously there's one where a guy said he saw like a 10-foot one. And a lot of people say it's orange when they do see it, but some people say it's white like a yeti. But yeah, that's the Anfialaeth Moor, which is probably cooler than Woodwise overall, to be fair.
Yeah, no. Fucking, do you know what a jackalope is?
Yes, they're so cool.
Yeah, so it's funny because they've kind of developed a story, right? Like, people have seen them. They're out there in the American West. Like, they'll chew your tires up. You know, if you leave your shoes out, like, because they're muddy or something, they'll steal your shoes. You know, the kind of mischief that small animals get into. But it's like there's a very clear, like we know when this started, and it was like in the 1930s, I think, and I believe it was in Wyoming, and they're just killing the shit out of deer and rabbits to eat, not maliciously, because it's the West. There wasn't a lot of cattle there yet. They're hungry, and they're like, well, we got all these parts left over. What are we gonna do with them? And somebody's like, let's sew antlers to this thing's head. Here, we can sell it to somebody, dude.
And then the European tourists came, and we all believed it.
Yeah, no, man, fucking, I ran that thing over my truck, and then it was burning, so I couldn't just not put its head on my wall. You know what I mean? Yeah, $50.
I'm being told to tell you about Black Shuck. We did mention Black Shuck just before the show went live. We will get to Black Shuck, don't worry.
I mean, doesn't everywhere have a black dog too?
Most of the time that you get a big black dog, that's
a big black what?
A big black dog. Nobody.
Dog?
Oh, that's getting clipped. That's every time I say that though, it doesn't end up getting clipped, so I'm kind of relieved at the moment. But dog, D-O-G was what I said there. But you often find that it's either an Irish settlement, an English settlement, or like a Scottish settlement. That story comes from, because Black Shuck is a story from Norfolk, which is just, it's the normal sort of stuff. Big dog with red eyes, and if you see the eyes, it's a sign that you're going to die.
It's a hellhound.
Yeah, it's literally the classical hellhound. Well, I think it's the original idea for a hellhound. Basically, is Black Shuck.
I thought hellhounds went back forever. Like, didn't the Sumerians have hellhounds
under a different name? The modern concept of hellhounds.
Dog barks at you and you go to hell. That's been around forever.
Yeah,
everybody's got that. The Egyptians had one as their gods.
The Egyptians had every animal as a god. If it existed, the Egyptians were like, can we put an animal head on a human body and make it a god? That's basically Egyptian.
Real fucking creative, Egypt.
Yeah. Then again, the Romans were stealing their gods, so we couldn't say. But I've done a lot of British cryptids. Should we even it out with more wacky American cryptids? Let's go on the more wacky side of things.
So, I think needs to be 2 honorable mentions. There's not much to either one of these stories, but one of them is Champ. He is one of our Loch Ness monster type sea things. He lives in Lake Champlain in, I think, New York and Vermont. Some people have seen him. Somebody took a picture of him once. That's that. And there's also another one a little bit further north up in Canada. I believe it's called the Ogopogo. And as much as I love Nessie, Ogopogo is definitely a better name.
That is so. Yeah. That is definitely better branding.
Yeah. There's also fur trouts, which I think this one goes up to the Great Lakes region, and then up to the Iceland, Greenland area, where it's just a fish that's got fur. Probably smells like the female fucking hairy ape man.
Yeah,
it's just a furry trout, man. I don't know why it smells like that.
I want to know how that story started. There's no because ironically, that would probably end up being the most realistic one to happen. Because if you imagine, how would you describe I mean, we know the depictions of platypus. It's there's a beaver with a beak. How crazy.
Well, the other thing is octopuses have a fucking beak.
Yeah.
You want to look at an octopus and tell me that's not a fucking cryptid? The only reason that's not a cryptid is because somebody's like, yep, that exists. If you've never seen or heard of an octopus, and I tried to explain it to you, you'd be like, okay, crazy. So how fucking high are you?
Yeah.
Right? There's plenty of weird shit out there.
Right, so there's this blob that has it's more intelligent than any of us. Its blood is cold and blue, and it's got a beak, and it has 8 legs, and those legs are basically giant penises that can do anything. Also, it can fit into really tiny holes.
Yeah, but then again, also a lot of American cryptids, or I guess back to that, I guess going back by our earlier definition of the thing, aren't really cryptids. They're just one-off monsters. The goddamn New Jersey Satan, the Jersey Devil, right? There's not a bunch of them. like some chick got cursed by a witch or kicked a midget or something and gave birth to a demon in the 1700s. Like it didn't go out and breed; it just flew off. And like some people saw it now and again. It's not like there's a bunch of them, and it was 200, 300 years ago. That thing's dead. And there's another one in Maryland called the Maryland Goat Man, which was only spotted in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they think that it was like one of those like, you know, half man, half goat guards a bridge would chase you off if you saw it, you know, real scary, spooky. But like the idea about that was that there was some mad scientist working at one of the government centers around there and like did an experiment with his son and a goat, which makes me think that his last name might be Ahmed, but it escapes, and there was this goat man chasing people for about 30 years, and then it fucking disappeared. So it's like, okay, well, that's not like a cryptid as much as like another one-off monster.
Yeah. Sorry, the goat joke got me. But yeah, we've got quite a few one-off monsters. I mean, a lot of there's one. I can't remember it. A lot of weird stuff happens in like Dartmoor. Like there was this one story of a woman was walking through Dartmoor, and she just found a family of Neanderthals. They and they were really tall and they were ducking out. She said it was like walking through the Flintstones, and I was like, where? And apparently there's loads, and then there's apparently there's like local authorities like, yeah, there's a load of random people just living in like the wilderness and because Dartmoor is, for the UK, it's a pretty big place. It's got its own microclimate that's like randomly. It's basically like you know, like whenever they go to a random island, like for a storm, and like King Kong or like the lost the land, the time forgot or whatever.
Yeah.
That's Dartmoor, basically.
Yeah. I also don't buy that story at the fuck all. Like, oh yeah, no. So there's some just Neanderthals out there. It's like, do you know what a Neanderthal is, man? Like, they didn't die out. We fucked them until like they're stopped being two separate fucking things. Like, I read somewhere, I don't know how true this is, but I 100% believe it, that Ozzy Osbourne has more Neanderthal fucking DNA than he does fucking Homo sapien.
I 100% believe that.
It's like, yeah, I'm not questioning that at all. Like, that makes perfect fucking sense to me. So I was like, what is it? Like, oh yeah, so I was going through the woods and I saw Ozzy Osbourne and I said, wow, that's a Neanderthal. And Oz said, bit on, didn't it? Cool. Neat story, England.
I've just got this image of just randomly meeting Ozzy Osbourne in Dartmoor and just assuming, because she said in this story she admits to being drunk as well. I'm like, there's no way you got far into Dartmoor while being drunk, but that would, if Ozzy Osbourne's there, it makes more sense.
What's your guys' fucking slang term for fucking slut?
That it would be we've got like loads. We've got a few different names.
No, there's one that's like you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, only British people say that.
Slag, that one.
Slag, yeah. So this dumb drunk slag's fucking stomping up towards fucking Dartmouth.
Dartmouth's a slightly different bit to Dartmouth.
See, I didn't even have to name a real place. And you're like, yeah, that's actually like right next to it. Yeah, there you
go. Yeah, that is English summed up.
Oh no, not a drunk English woman. Never seen that in the woods before. Next, you're gonna tell me there's meth heads in Kentucky. Oh no.
Anyway, to get on to my really weird, there are really weird ones. But there's one story again. So a woman's traveling home. A lot of our folklore and cryptid stories start off with a woman was traveling somewhere. That or a postman or an old man. Like normally they're the normal people that see these things. So like I can't remember where this story specifically takes place. But basically, the entire story is very similar to the Flatwoods. She sees a grey creature with a big head and bulbous red eyes, and it runs across the road. And it looks at her, and then it runs off. And that is a massive cryptid story, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's clearly just a grey," and I'm like, "Okay." But the best one, the weirdest one we have, there is a tale of just the hairy hands. And what this is you're driving along the road. I think it's a certain specific.
Yeah. Like your hands get hairy if you
no.
too much.
Well, not that. So as you're driving, pair of hairy hands will come down, grab the wheel, and like spin the car. And then it was reported that in this caravan, the hairy hands like open the door and they're just floating. But it will be like a Bigfoot type thing, but it's just the hands that you see, and all it is just these hairy hands just floating around and doing mischievous stuff. And I'm like, who was on what? I don't know what they were smoking when they came up with that, but wait. Andrei Rodchenko says, I went to the pub yesterday, ran into the town Neanderthal, had a beer, love him, proper bloke. You have to put the northern accent on it to make us more Midlands accent.
Yeah. No, I mean, the other thing though is like fucking. I think a lot of it's just misidentifying stuff, and
Okay.
I never buy the. I know what this thing looks like. It wasn't that thing, because they go to describe that thing. Like the big one is like werewolves, right? Because people are like, I saw a werewolf, man. It's like, are you sure it wasn't just a wolf? And they're like, no, man, I know what a wolf looks like. What's a wolf look like? And they describe like a coyote, and it's like, okay, you don't know what a wolf looks like, but you saw one. Neat. And then the other one is like around here, in the Appalachian fucking area, there is a lot of like newer, unidentified, like one-off fucking like woods monsters that are being seen. But there's also, I forget what it's called, but there's a disease going around right now where deers are pretty much turning into zombies.
Yes.
Like, yeah. So it's like, are you sure you just didn't see like a half rotted zombie deer that like that's like a real thing that you're supposed to call the animal fucking people to come and fucking capture and kill it because like it's dangerous to itself and other people? It's like, no, man, I saw a Wendigo. You sure it wasn't? What did it look like? Well, it looks like a deer. And its skin was running off. And I saw it up in the mountains. And did it get on its hind legs and start talking to you? No. Okay.
But that being said, there are some horrifying. I think Wartime Stories did a story on the Wendigo, and I was like,
yeah.
Some of those stories because I love Wartime Stories because it's almost my favorite. Whenever I'm looking at cryptid stuff, my first immediate response is, are they in a governmental position or in the armed forces? And everyone goes, why? And I goes, because those people, when they come out with those stories, are risking their entire career. And so those people aren't bullshitting.
The other thing with that is like when dudes that are active duty military are saying shit, they get piss tested a lot. For reasons. So like if anyone's not on drugs, it's them.
Yeah, because they literally can't be. But those stories, like the one where the guy's in the hide and then the deer comes up and then just starts smashing its face into the tree, looks up and talks to him. I'm like, okay, that might have been a weird experience. Or like, but I mean, because we have a similar sort of Wendigo style thing. I don't know if you ever did this as a kid, where like, so as you're traveling in the back of the car, you look at the streetlights and you imagine a skinny guy with sunken black eyes jumping over all the streetlights. Now, I always thought this was just a weird thing I did as a kid, and I've spoken to loads of people in the UK, across the country. 90% of them go, oh yeah, no, I followed the man, and I'm like, were we imagining it? Or did we share some shared delusion? Because I just assumed it was a figment of my imagination I came up with, and apparently we all have it.
The lamppost man?
Yeah, the lamppost man.
His name is Roger Lamppost.
Yeah.
From Nantucket.
He's got a moustache like mine. But no, a lot of our
except for he strokes his mustache and calls it his little pet. It's a bit odd.
A lot of our cryptids, though, because you've got to remember, like, we had the Scandinavians come over, obviously the Saxons come over and did their thing, and then we've got the Celts. So a lot of our stuff revolves around water, and that's where you get the Kelpie, which I think would do any American cryptid in. Like, the Wendigo runs up, trying to rip it apart, it's just going to get stuck to it. Because the Kelpie would literally, and it would change forms. So if you were a woman walking past the lake, it was a handsome prince. And the second you touched the handsome prince, it would just calmly walk into the water and drown you, or take you to the other world, depending on the story. If you're a guy, pretty woman. The second you get excited, and she's like, come hither, and you're like, okay. And then she would just drag you into the water, which is a very common thing, obviously. Sirens, like a pretty woman dragging you to drown is a very common story. The one that's really disturbing is obviously for children, especially. Sometimes it'd be for adults as well, but it'd just be like a stunning horse, and obviously the children go up, play the horse, and then one story is that all the horse tells them to get on its back, and none of them go, "Why is a horse talking to us?" Obviously they all get on the horse's back, apart from one kid, who's like nervous, and the horse says like, "Stroke my mane," and then like from there, and I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but the kid like touches the mane, obviously gets stuck, and all the kids start panicking because they realise that they're stuck to the horse. Horse starts walking towards the water, the kid cuts their hand off. Celtic myths are messed. And then like, which is why, like, always what annoys me whenever I go on TikTok, I always see Americans going, "Oh, European folk tales are childish." No, folk tales are horrifying. With like,
well, no, there was a German one called I think it's called the Elf King. Have you ever heard that one? Where there's this little kid, little kid, and he's like, "Dad, the Elf King's gonna get me," and the dad's like, "Go to fucking bed, dude." And kid tries to go to bed. Elf King's sitting there in the mirror, not in the mirror, but like out the window. Kid gets spooked out and he goes, "Dad, the Elf King's trying to get me." Dad's like, "All right, fine. I'll go look under your bed, make sure he's not there." Dad comes in. "Holy shit, it's the Elf King." The Elf King jumps in the room. Dad grabs a kid, gets on a horse, tries to go away. The Elf King gets on another horse, chases him through the woods, and the dad's really scared, and he's like squeezing the kid. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get you away, buddy." And he eventually gets away from the Elf King, only to realize that the dad was so scared that he squeezed the kid so tight that the dad accidentally killed the kid. The end. It's like, what the fuck, Germany?
That's the average German folktale. I loved everyone's like, "Oh, Brothers Grimm, they're so sweet." And I'm like, "Do you know the original versions of those stories?"
There was one, I think it was called like the Tale of the Four Hunters or some shit like that, where there was these four guys and they were hunters, and they had a sister, and the sister got kidnapped, right? So these four hunters go to look for the sister, and they cross a dwarf, and the dwarf's like, "I saw who took your sister," and they're like, "Tell us." And he's like, "I'll tell you if you give me gold." So they chop his fucking limbs off and torture him to death.
Yeah.
And then they go into the woods, and then there's a fairy, and they're like, "Have you seen our sister?" And the fairy's like, "Oh yeah, I saw who took him, but you have to give me something in exchange for information." So they like hack her wings off and put her on a spit and roast her over a fire until she gives up the information, and they just like leave her there. And like they meet like 10 or 12 other fucking like strange animals or beings that like want something in exchange, and the hunters just brutally fucking torture them until they get the information. It's like, "We're not giving up the gold. Where's my fucking sister?" This isn't a German fucking fairy tale. This is an 80s action movie.
I love so many fairy tales and cryptids and all that are just basically someone was sitting going, and then it's the entire story. I mean, I'm trying to go. Actually, I have had a recommendation to go on about Owlman, which brings us back round to the Mothman already. I mean, how are you doing for time today? Because I said an hour, and we're probably going to run over that in about 10 minutes.
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Because if we go
the Owlman, it kind of makes sense because, like, what is it? The fucking like, a lot of people think that the Mothman. Turn your porno off.
Google's yelling at me.
No, but like a lot of people think that the skeptics of the Mothman are like, "No, it's just a really big owl," and it's like, I don't think there are owls that are 6 feet tall, but all right.
And then Britain's like, hold my beer, we our version of the Mothman is a literal Owlman, which I think is more feasible. But even like, I think there's a giant moth that flies above bridges to predict that they're going to collapse? No. Do I think that there could be a very, very big owl? Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time we've had like massive 30-foot birds in history. Like, the Thunderbird comes from somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, they say that the Mothman might also be, some type of big bird creature. Less man with wings and more like actual fucking bird. But if it is that like black bird, which is kind of like a hellhound, but like the bird version of it, like they've also seen that like a Hiroshima and like Chernobyl and shit. So like, it might be that it is some like weird harbinger of fucking. Though one of the it's I mean, so like the Mothman is specifically an American thing, but some people are like, I think that the Mothman and this thing and that thing are actually the same entity, and we're just calling it different names. There are some people that think that.
Yeah.
But one of the cool ones is the book, The Mothman Prophecies. Fucking, it's good. But there's a part in it where this it's I think it was originally written in the 60s, right? And I forget the guy's name that wrote it, but he went to go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to investigate the Mothman as it was starting to come out. And before he went to go do his actual trip, he went to go do a recon trip, because it's 12, 18 hours away from where he lived in New York. So it's the 1960s, and he's going to do his little recon fucking preliminary look around, spend a weekend here, see what's up before I come in for weeks, a couple months later. His car breaks down in the middle of the fucking night, right? And it's during a thunderstorm. And he's going around West Virginia, and he's, knocking on, people's doors. He's like, "Hey, can I use your phone? My car broke down." And they're like, "No, it's 3:00 in the morning. Go away." Also, it's West Virginia in the 60s. We don't have phones. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And, goes through this whole neighborhood until eventually, finds somebody that lets him use his phone, and he can get a tow truck or whatever. But he comes back, months later to start doing interviews about, the Mothman sightings. And they're like, "Yeah, I didn't see the Mothman, but I met the devil." He's like, "Wait, what happened?" He's like, "Well, it was it's a couple months ago. It's 3:00 in the morning. He knocked on my door, kept asking to use my phone." And he's like, "Oh." Did your neighbor see the same thing? Yeah, Bob, remember when the devil came over? Yeah, he came over and he was asking to use my phone. It was 3:00 in the morning, man. The whole neighborhood saw the devil that night. It's write that down. So I mean, a lot of people are dumb.
But there is a certain level of something I will admit, I where I've grown up on it, I always have a certain level where I believe some of the stories. There's always those little things that I'm fairy circles. I'm very much into, which does bring me on to my next story. But there is also the case of how quickly stories can go out. The original version, the Yule tree, which isn't a Christmas tree, a lot of the people be like, "Oh, the Christians stole Christmas from pagans." I'm like, no, they didn't. That's a whole hour and a half video that I'm not going into. But the original idea for that, of bringing a tree indoors, and that would kind of become a Christmas tree later on, even though the two ideas are very far apart, was that you were basically bringing in the winter spirits to keep them warm, and then they would look after you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's because at some point you were bringing in the tree so it would have fruit for longer.
That would make sense.
I guarantee you that there's often cases of practical things like the Kelpie, as I was going on about earlier, very clearly just a sign of, hey, don't go near large bodies of water on your own. You'll drown.
Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, though, because, think about, if you have a little kid, right?
Mm.
And you want them to not run off the cliff that's out in the woods and die. Yeah. Now, is it easier to sit them down and explain to them what's going to happen if they go run around in the woods, they fall off this cliff, and they're going to be like, "Okay, well, first off, doesn't sound too bad, but B, I'm smarter than to fall off a cliff, Dad."
Yeah.
No, you're not. We're having this conversation. Or there's goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go in the woods. Okay, cool. Got it. Not going in the woods. There's goblins. It's a lot easier to just lie to your kids about that.
Unless you're me, and I'm like, "There's goblins in the woods. I want to go and find the goblins."
Yeah, no, I'm a part of an Instagram group called a group where we're all thirsty for goblins. Don't tempt me.
I wasn't thinking that way, but yeah.
How thick are these goblins exactly?
I mean, that goes into slightly, because I've had a lot of weird experiences. When I was younger, I was in the Cubs, which is our version of the Boy Scouts, where it goes beavers, Cubs, Scouts, and we was walking through this woodland, and I just saw this large brown figure. The only way to describe it was like a tree human, and it wasn't bark. It was normal human skin, but it was like a tree sort of thing. And everyone's a few people have told me since that that are more into it, you saw a brownie, and some people it's a wood nymph. But I that was really, because it was just walking in front of me, and then so it appeared out of behind one tree, and then there was another tree in front of me as I was walking, and it walked past that, and I looked around, and it wasn't there anymore. And that's the way I've had a lot of weird stuff in my ghosts and stuff, which doesn't really count as cryptid.
Yeah.
But like that was
Yeah,
my
different category.
yeah, entirely different category. But the weirdest one I've ever experienced was I was going I was in the army cadets. We was walking towards we was finding a pee point basically to go pee in the middle of the woods, and as we're walking down this little road, which we weren't meant to be doing because it was on a Fieldcraft exercise, we weren't meant to be using the main roads, so we was kind of taking a shortcut, and then there's this little break between the trees. It's literally like a little arch that's formed with the trees, and as we're going, we just see this dog run, but it was like huge. It was like this massive. It wasn't like black shuck like raggy fur and all that. It was just huge, predatory, and like no owners, no nothing, no, not even a hound. We didn't hear it either, and we just, this thing just runs forwards, like just, and then from one tree to the other, like doesn't even pay attention to us. And so, being kids, we run towards it. We're like, where is that? And like we get, and bearing in mind this was straight road there, so we had clear view. I turn over, and we're looking down this road. We cannot see it, and now we're desperate for a pee at this point. So we're just like, okay, we're just gonna pee and go, because I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be here when that thing inevitably comes back, because it's definitely heard us talking. So it's going to come back, and the speed that was running, there's no way any of us are getting away from. We peed and we legged it out of there, and that was the most terrified I think I've ever been, because I do not know to this. The other dog version I've seen, I was in a park, and we watched this dog, it was like all pale white, get out of a bush, start running, and then like that, it turned into a human, and it just ran off. Like literally, I don't know, these aren't even cryptids, these are just personal cryptid, like weird things that I've had happen to me. And we saw it, and these are both time, if I could get in contact with the people I saw them with, it'd be easier, because then I could be like, can you confirm this story? But we're sitting there, and this thing just starts running as a dog, and gets up on two legs, and then just sprints off. And we're just staring at it, and I'm like, why is it always me? Why is it always me? But yeah, that's my like weird cryptid stories.
Yeah, no, the other thing though is like a lot of people that don't believe that cryptids exist are people that don't go out in the woods, and everyone that spends a lot of time out in the woods has seen something weird. Maybe not cryptid, but like I don't know what the fuck that was. I'm gonna go back this way.
Oh yeah, when my Scottish or Welsh friends are telling me like, hey, don't go into that specific woodland, or like they'll be like, okay, cool. I have personal, like, people in my like own life, like, because my family's always been very, we'll go everywhere. We like being in nature and hiking and stuff. I haven't done it for years. I need to do it again soon. It's been I don't like the fact that I haven't been hiking in a long time, but like there'll be certain woods and we're like, don't go there, and then like where my like we always, whenever I have gone on holiday and stuff, we always get to know, we're the ones that will stay behind at the restaurant and talk to the random cafe in the back that no one goes to, and it's the really friendly couple that sells food at half price. Seriously, people, stop going to the main chain restaurants when you go on holiday. It's dumb. But like they'll tell you, and they'll just start telling you stories, and they'll be like, oh yeah, so and so, and they just casually mention, oh yeah, so and so was murdered up there, and then obviously there's the moon beast that lives in the forest up the top of the hill. So if you don't go to that one like on the full moon, and you'll be fine. And then you just like, cool, and you like, part of you's like, are they playing with me? But you said that so casually that it's clearly an everyday occurrence for you.
But then like you get some that are like fucking like, yeah, also don't go up there Thursdays at noon. Why? What's up there? The Thursday at noon monster. Oh.
And it's actually just them having a dogging session. I don't know if you have that in America, or if I'm gonna have to explain that terminology after this show.
Like where you put your wife's ass out of a car and everybody that walks by bangs
Yeah, basically, there you go. Yeah, you basically got it there. Pumpkin Bear says, do you keep stuff on you nowadays in case you encounter those dogs again? Not really. I haven't had a weird moment in the woods in a while, but I also haven't been in many woods in ages. I've annoyingly spent a lot of time over the last few years in cities, which is, spent a lot of time up in London, which is, I don't like cities.
Yeah, me either. That's why I live in the woods.
Yeah, I'd rather go live with the cryptids in the woods that might eat me than in a city. I mean, the weirdest one, going back up to Scotland, because that's where all the really weird, like in again in the Midlands, you got Black Annis, which is a witch that is just a blue witch which I don't know why she's called Black Anish, because she's blue. And there's a lot of origins for her story where she, like, obviously she's got one eye that she uses to zoom in and stuff.
Is it like a side eye that she's only got one of, or is it in the middle of her head?
Depends. Some stories she's got like one eye, and some it's like a red eye in the middle. Or some stories she does have two glowing red eyes. It depends on the story. The most famous one is that, so there's a father and there's a father and a mother and their two boys, and the mother has a necklace with a little hole in it. And she tells the oldest boy, actually no, there's three sons, sorry. She tells the oldest son, if you look through this necklace, you'll be able to see in great distance, and it will tell you when danger's coming. Anyways, the years go by, and the mum dies of an illness, and then the father remarries to a horrible stepmother. It's a norm. I want to preface, the Black Anish myth is very much a myth from the fact we've already gone on to the evil stepmother portion of the story. So the evil stepmother forces them to go out and buy woods. I actually think because the story starts with Black Anish comes for them and the family hides inside, and then like it's hinted that Black Anish gave the mother an illness. But what happens is you'll hear Black Anish coming because you hear her cries and you hear her teeth chattering. You hear her. I just realised what I've done. We'll carry on. Yeah. You'll hear Black Anish coming because you hear her screaming and you hear her teeth chattering.
This story is about a one-eyed monster. Got it.
Yeah. So Black Anish will come down the mountain with her teeth chattering. I've never noticed this about this story until now. I'm never going to be able to look at this story again the same way. And so, anyways, one time the church bells are ringing and they're saying, "Hey, Black Anish is on her way." There we go. Black Anish is on her way down to the village, and so the boys are like, "Okay, it's fine as long as we get back before sundown, we'll be fine." So they're searching for sticks, and they can't, and they're getting deeper and deeper into the forest. Bearing in mind, if you look at the maps of where we think the cave that Black Anish was meant to live in, and there was also one of the castles that, like, there's a tunnel from the cave to the castle, and there's also a different cryptid or folklore like witch that's meant to live in, and then everyone was like, it's very clearly the same like person or witch that's like inhabiting both. Like, so in the battlements she'd jump down and grab you if she could. So they like, so what was funny, I was like, so basically there was a pervert in the castle that was grabbing people and grabbing children, and then they just became a witch story. There is a story that it was a nun who worked with lepers, and the story begins or works its way forward after the Reformation because she was a Catholic nun. Which I was like, yeah, that's something. That's something. Without getting into the British Isles Catholics and Protestants debate, we will very quickly skirt over that. But that's one of the ideas of where Black Anish comes from, and so she actually appears briefly in one of the DC comics, and Black Anish coming down, and then the medallion, like Witcher style, like vibrates a little bit, and the oldest boy looks through it, and it shows him the danger in the future. The distance is Black Anish, and he's like, it's fine, she's miles away. Then she sniffs the air. With most witch stories, there is a possibly slightly anti-Semitic undertone because with her enlarged nose, she sniffs the air.
She's got this big nose, and then like two little Germans show up and push her in an oven. Yeah, tale as old as time.
Yeah.
We know.
So she sniffs the air, and then she pulls out her eye, and then she looks directly at him, and then this always gets me in the story. So her skirt is meant to be really long and trails, so she pulls the skirt up and is running at them, and I'm like, how could you be scared of a creature running at you like this, holding its skirt up, going, and then like teeth chattering and stuff. Anyway, so
how high up is the skirt being pulled, and what can we see?
I don't know, but they in the story he puts the stone necklace down very quickly and start. That's TikTok. Why does TikTok always alerts me that I've been streaming for an hour? I'm like, thank you. I know I've been streaming for an hour. TikTok, thank you. But so anyway, she's running towards them. They drop all of the stuff and they're running back, and as they run back. Is multiple different versions of the story. One is that the stepmother has locked herself in the house, and the dad's like waiting for them to come back with an axe. The other is that he was already.
Stepmom, open the door.
Yeah. Yes, there's a witch coming down. There's a witch coming and screaming down the mountain. The stepmom's locked in with the dad. There's a lot of innuendo, accidental innuendo in this story. But so Black Annis starts coming down the mountain, and then the dad comes. Either way, the dad rocks up with the axe. The boys get behind him, and they go into the house with the stepmom, and then he brings the axe down and like cuts off. It's either a hand or a leg of Black Annis, and in some stories he cuts off her head. But yeah, the Black Annis story is a lot more sexual than I realised now. I've told it to you. I didn't realise this before.
Yeah. It's kind of like there was in the American Civil War, there was a major. His name was what's his name? Angus, not Annis, and not Annis. Angus. Sorry. Major. Angus. And after the war, he went home, but he got promoted to colonel, and everyone kept asking where Colonel Angus was, and he was like, it's just down south doing what Colonel Angus does. No, okay, all
right. I knew it was going somewhere the second the story started. Yeah. Let's check some of the comments. We've not really done that many cryptids overall. We've done.
Well, we did. We were just doing wave tops because, like, fucking, like, to be fair, how many fucking videos are there on the fucking internet? Let's talk about Wendigos for an hour and a half.
Yeah, there's a million. Yeah, but to be fair, I think we've done more obscure stuff like the dog. Actually, no, we could do before I get to comments. We could do the Chupacabra because that's an interesting one to like. Because obviously, Bigfoot versus Nessie, like everyone knows the story of Nessie, and Nessie's gonna win that because it's 4 times the size. But actually, no. Right. Before we go on to the Chupacabra, because I'd love to talk about the Chupacabra, because because you've got one in the Dominican Republic that's like an alien, and then you've got the one in Florida that's like just a regular dog.
Yeah, and like the big ones like Mexico, Texas area where it's some weird beast that just sucks guts.
Like that's the only consistency is the name and the fact that they suck goat's blood.
Yeah.
Like, and the rest of it is just one's a dog and then one's a weird alien creature.
Right. The thing about the Chupacabra, though, is it sounds a lot like chalupa to me, and now I kind of want to go to Taco Bell.
The Taco Bell in the UK is awful. I've tried Taco Bell over here. It's awful. It's just boring. There's no meat in it. I'm like, what was the point of this? Tough Jiggly says, "Hey guys, have you heard of the Mothman?" Which is literally every cryptid podcast ever.
Yeah.
It's like the Wendigo and the Mothman is the thing. Although actually, how have I forgotten this? I'm currently working on a video for it. Selkies. Oh no, we did Selkies in the seafaring video, didn't we?
Yeah. That's why we didn't want to.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, okay. Have we done that? See our Sea Maidens episode if you want to know about Selkies, where we
that whole podcast was just talking about semen, though.
Yeah. Seamen going into seafaring items.
There's a whole sea of splooge.
Yeah.
That white stuff coming out of the waves, that's not sea foam, buddy.
There's a reason they call them sperm whales.
They're coming.
Literally. Just as much as Black Annis, apparently, when she sees... I don't know what's worse, is the fact that now I've got an image of, now that she was always a witch that ate children, and now she's a witch that's a paedophile witch that eats children.
Wait, hold on. Wait. A, how old were these kids? And B, what's y'all's age of consent there? Because legally, she might not be a pedophile.
No, either way, she's still a cannibal.
She could eat me.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
The one-eyed, but I mean, we've got there's a woman with there's one story again. It goes back to the wood where there's a woman. She's green and she hangs out by something.
Isn't that more of a ghost story though? Because like the Black Annis thing, that's kind of reminiscent of like our Bell Witch.
I would say Black Annis is closer to cryptid territory.
I think it's a ghost.
You'd say it's more ghost story territory.
I think it's a ghost story. Yeah.
All right. We'll end off because we're at an hour 10. we otherwise we're gonna just go on about what cryptids would end up. Actually, no, you said that earlier on. I'm gonna bring up Twitter. What was that stuff of how do you think we got Bigfoot? Where you you was going.
Oh, fucking that one dog from Lady and the Tramp, the one that looks like it takes it in the butt, like on the first date. I don't know. I saw a picture of it randomly. I'm like, you know what? I know some chicks that fuck on the first date that look just like that dog. And look, I'm not a furry, but if I was, my hard drive would be full of fucking Rule 34 of that fucking dog right there. But I'm not. I just want you to understand that I know that that dog takes it in the ass.
But how did you get the leap of that would create Bigfoot?
I don't know, man. You said something like,
why? I just put why, and you like just. I need.
You know, it might have been better on my end if I said this is how you get Dogman.
Yeah, that would make that would make sense. The Dogman is possibly my favorite one because it is literally just Bigfoot with a dog head, and I'm like, you just took werewolves and you mixed in Bigfoot, and then like, but again, it's like it's one of those things.
And someone's fucking a dog.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean there was a bit of bestiality involved in there. Pumpkin Bear says, has Tripp heard of the Washington Eagle? Before I go into like bog arts and stuff. I'm assuming from that face you haven't heard of the Washington Eagle. I haven't either.
No, I mean, fucking, it sounds like it'd be one of the tall tales, like, that would hang out with fucking, Big Ben, not Big Ben, fucking, Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. But, I mean, is Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, are they cryptids? Like, I mean...
I thought they were completely fictional stories. I didn't know if there was any... I always thought they were completely fictional. I don't know if... I
mean, they are, but, like, you know, it's a 200-foot tall bull. Like, that's big.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's kind of similar to the in Crete, where one of the
some chick fucked a fucking bull, and they were like, all right, well, how do we fucking cover this one up? Because she was important, we can't just throw her in the ocean.
Well, no, see, apparently the reason that she did that was one of the kings of Crete, well, King Minos, actually. I don't know why my brain wouldn't work there. But King Minos turns around to one of the gods, and he says, I would like a golden bull. And they do that for him, and then he reneges on his side of the promise, so they're like, okay, cool. So then God's like, zap, and then his wife's horny for a bull, and they make it...
that's a real convenient fucking story. I think what actually happened was that chick was just out there fucking bulls, and then, like, Midas was like, oh, I can't just kill her fucking... This is my fault. I pissed off God. And they're like, oh, okay, your wife's not a deranged pervert. You made God mad. Got it. It's okay, Susan. You can come back and live inside again. That's how that went. And
then I want to know how the Minotaur was kept under wraps for that. I want to know if they flooded that out. It was like, actually, it wasn't weird and she isn't deranged because there was a baby made. And if the gods hadn't ordained that, then... that she would have like died and not given birth to a deranged minute. Like, imagine trying to sell that and just sitting there like, yeah, the queen gave birth to a half bull, half human thing, so we're just not gonna talk about that. Also, don't go in the maze. Yeah.
You'll get raped to death by a fucking giant bull.
Yeah. Or if you're in the English woodland.
Or his mom.
Yeah, or his mum. If you're a bull, you'll get raped by his mum. But,
don't go into the woods. Don't go into the maze. You'll get your dick sucked. Oh no, not there. Wait, is this how the Greeks came up with glory holes? Yes, they didn't have to like because like all the men were gone, so like they had to have sex with women, which grossed them out. So they cut a hole in it. And they're like, all right, lady, go on the other side of the wall so I can pretend you're a dude.
There's a really famous joke about it's like the Greeks invented the orgy and the Romans revolutionized the idea by adding women.
Yeah, no, I think the better boiled down is like the Greeks invented sex.
The Greeks invented the dildo as well. This is I love that every comment whenever people get excited, then they see the title of every Tripp in History video and they're like, it's not going to be about that, and I'm like, oh no, within 2 minutes it will have derailed and we'll have been on like some other tangent.
We stayed on fucking topic for most of this one.
For most of this, I think about 40 minutes. 40 minutes, and yeah,
that's really good. Like, the only other one we did that was Starship Troopers, and that was because I was pissed off about it.
Yeah, because we was all furious about Starship Troopers. I feel like that's coming back with a Helldivers discourse. Have you played Helldivers? That's a lot of fun.
No, not
Oh,
yet.
it is. It is a lot. It takes a lot of your life as well. But to finish off with boggarts, and how many more have you got on your list that you want to talk about?
I mean, I brought most of them up.
Oh, fair enough.
And it was like the Ogopogo and like Champ and fucking the furry fish and jackalopes and
The one I want to really talk about because everyone goes, oh, the Wendigo would beat every single European group. I'm like, one, if we're going to the whole of Europe, the Leshy exists.
No. The one that would win out of any fight would be the jackalope, and that's I mean, you've seen. Yeah. Wait, no, we talked about this. You haven't seen Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, have you?
No, I do know that scene where the rabbit, because everyone.
Yeah. Imagine that with horns.
Yeah. It's gonna solo everything. Although. My real thing. So do you know what a brownie is? Not the food or the pot brownie.
Yeah,
like the idea.
Like it's not quite a fairy.
Yeah. So it's like the idea. The idea for everyone at home that isn't 100% sure on it is, so the idea of a brownie is it comes into your home, you leave it out food at night, and it's a helpful spirit. It's not technically a cryptid. It's the stories and the effects to have it. So with a brownie. And the reason I label it as a cryptid is because it's very easy to put it into the Bigfoot category.
Wow. Also, real quick, like with the brownies, I love like the English casual racism.
We're gonna skirt over that. We're gonna skirt over that.
Yeah, so the brownies came in, right? And we're like, we don't like your kind here.
To be fair,
oh, you're helping out around the house. Oh, let me give you a tip.
To be fair, technically, the brownies start off as a Celtic myth and are adapted by the English.
Yeah, listen, we got something like that similar in America, but I'm not allowed to say the word because we are not in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, okay. And this is why this is only the third Trip into History video, because if we did it every week, my channel would be gone.
Samuel Jackson played one in fucking Django Unchained.
Oh no, that's not scripted. Moving back to the
Anyway, I know we got the brownie that comes in, helps around the house.
Yeah.
Give him a tip, say good job, boy.
So
brownie comes in, open with your racism over
it gives them food, but if you disrespect the brownie. And you like very similar to the domovoy in Polish folklore. If you disrespect, say, "Oh, this is awful," you don't, and then you like hold back food and stuff. So first you notice things going missing, and in some cases, one of the most famous cases, there was a couple of brownies that look after this mill for a farmer. They come in, like, you have to remember, like, these spirits, like these spirits or cryptids, they come in, they do it of their own volition, and they're like, this is one of the... Oh, no. Andrei Yevchenko says, oh, no, Cletus, that's not a cryptid, that's slavery.
Yes, house slave, got it.
Yeah, I am really realizing this was a horrific story to bring up now.
So what is it that brownies you do for brownies? Do you have to say something, or is it just kind of like an implied contract?
So, like, if they choose to come into the house, they're there, but once they're there, you have to continually, like, treat them well and give them food and stuff and make sure it's food to their liking. If you stop the food and then you start slandering their work, they become a boggart. The most famous one...
So if you call them lazy and you take them off welfare, they start to riot. Got it.
No! No.
I don't like what you're saying on this channel here. Fucking history, daddy. I mean, then again, you guys are English, and y'all kind of started the whole, like, what do they call it? The transatlantic... I'm sorry. Go on. They stop working for you. You give them a scarier, less romantic name.
Yeah. So when they become boggarts, they can quite literally destroy entire towns. This is you're gonna realize why I immediately yelled no, because the story in the mill is they go in and they kill the son of one of the brownies who's working in this mill. And she becomes a boggart. She transforms. Once you've transformed a brownie into a boggart, it can never be reversed, and they're basically an unstoppable force of nature at that point. So she goes through the town looking for the people that killed her son. This is a Scottish tale as well. This specific tale of a boggart. So she just destroys this entire town single-handedly, and this is why I believe boggarts would be so much more terrifying than a Wendigo, because imagine a Wendigo comes up to you and it's like, I'm gonna eat you, and then the boggart goes no, and then just jumps into its eye and starts like clawing at it from the inside out. Depending on the size, because boggarts can change size as well, depending on the myth. But yeah, that's why I think boggarts would beat a Wendigo. I just wanted to add it. That was what I want. That was the point I wanted to make before we might diverge. Oh no, you just ruined my entire childhood. Just...
Why? Nobody in the comments made a George Floyd joke, did they?
Thankfully not. Oh dear, this is the episode that gets us cancelled. This one is right. Okay, let's go to the comments before. Okay, right. Don't forget they recently just found DNA to support big cats roaming the English countryside, even though the locals have been saying that they have seen one. Yes, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. If the locals are adamant that they saw it and it's there, it's there. It's there. It's like there's
it's gonna take a while before you get on camera.
Yeah. Like there was a few sightings of it from English colonialists in the Amazon, not the Amazon, in one of the African rainforests, with a massive spider that was like the size of a small car, like a mini. I don't know if you have minis in the States, like mini, like yeah,
Mini Coopers,
yeah. They're like that's what a hipster man drives, and then a hipster woman drives a Fiat.
We got a name for people that drive Fiats over here, but I'm not allowed to say it, or else like the auto robot will turn the
will destroy the stream immediately. Well, it wouldn't be the first time you've had. I've seen a couple of your TikToks have been taken down recently due to you using.
Look! It's not my fault. British people eat beans. All right, fuck.
Oh, I love the. Have you named the alligator in your sketches?
Yeah, he's a space skater.
A space skater. Yeah. But
he's from outer space.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But
he's the cryptid. He's the cryptid in my house.
It makes sense. But yeah, no. But anyways, this and obviously is not a British or American cryptid, but it's it still counts. And so all of the local tribes, whenever they are interviewed on. Like when they did Monster Quest and stuff like that, they have like loads of spikes around their hut that are laden with poison, and all of their beds are elevated and stuff because the spider's so big apparently it can't like jump up and get them, and they're like it will drag off the children and eat them. And all of the local tribes are like adamant this is a thing, and all of the scientists are like, well, it doesn't make sense because the oxygen levels aren't high enough for a spider to get that big.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for the oxygen levels, but like fucking, it doesn't make sense to spend fucking 90 hours a week fucking protecting yourself from it if it doesn't fucking exist either.
Like, why is their entire being? And they're saying, we've seen it, it's eaten our children before, so we've done this to protect ourselves. We know this land better than you. And then you just have the regular white scientists going, well, actually, my degree is from Oxford University. And they're like, no, you've been there 2 days and you're telling these people that live there that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but that guy from Oxford University, though, that's going down there saying this, that, and whatever, he probably also says Bogart with a hard R.
I'm gonna get an email from YouTube after this one. Oh no, this is the worst time to read this one. Andrei Hanchenko, those Congo ape men could be a surviving paleo hominid if they're real. Early hominid.
They're human beings. You just call them Congolese, all right? I'm sorry. Go on. Congo ape men.
I think it's Sir Willie says, my question is, why on earth are you playing Fallout 76? It cost me £6. It was on sale. It's not that bad if you've only paid £6 for it. If you pay full price for it, it's an awful game. Pay only £6 for it, it's not that bad a game. History Daddy, pull out the big black dog. We did that. Hang on. Why is I'm gonna go to regular YouTube so I can actually have a scroller because it's not letting me scroll regularly. Where was I? I have a dog cryptid story. History knows. Yeah, I do remember you telling me that, Pumpkin. I can't remember it off by heart. Pumpkin Bear, the cuddle fish is greater than the octopus, greater than the squid. Fair enough. Pumpkin Bear suggests the Devil Child of Bourbon Street. I've not heard of
like
that
in
one.
New Orleans.
I'm assuming, yeah. It's New Orleans, New Orleans
Yeah,
story.
I don't know the story with that one. I just know that
Yeah,
it's there.
New Orleans has got some unhinged stories.
Well, I mean that's also like fucking the French America fucking like thing, but it wasn't like real French. It was like redneck French that fucking stayed there, and so you get like American redneck French vampire people.
So I'm the average person in New Orleans. Sorry,
Yep.
pumpkin. Sorry, Pumpkin Bear.
Also, like American fucking like narcotics, like fucking heavy. So
Yeah. Um.
like they were doing adrenochrome before it was cool.
Yeah. You can make that joke. You're American. You can get away with that one.
What? You're not allowed to say that your politicians are fucking eating baby blood over there?
I mean, they are, but we're not allowed to say it.
Oh, okay, all right.
We're nearing into political territory. I'm gonna get in trouble there. The Wendigo. Andre says Wendigo looks like damn WHF. This is an anime reference. WHF / AOS crypt ghouls. I'm so mad at the internet for the zombie deer furry meme. It's yeah, the traditional Wendigo is just a really skinny, emaciated creature that's like in some cases losing flesh and like it's constantly eating and devouring because that's the whole point of cannibalism. Wendigo psychosis is also a very real disease. That as far as we know only appears in Native American cultures. That apparently has occurred outside of that as well. But like that's very interesting because the belief is once you've eaten human flesh, you cannot be cured of being a Wendigo. And there's one of the best Wendigo stories I heard was like, so there's this guy and he comes into a town and he just starts talking like obviously the Europeans come in and like, oh, we gotta help him, and then Native Americans are like, something's off with this guy. Something don't make sense. Something's off, and they go off and they find the camp with the uncle and his brother, and then it turns out that he ate the uncle and the brother, and all the Europeans are like, oh no, it's fine, he's not, and then Native Americans are like, he's literally turning into a Wendigo in front of you, and the guy's like going crazy and stuff, and they're like, what, can we just kill him? And the Europeans are like, no, like we can get him like a psychologist and help him, like we're gonna kill him because he's gonna eat us, like he's going to eat us. Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah.
It's just the classic, like, hippie, like, we can help him. We're on a gap here.
No, but that also kind of makes sense, though. Like, from, like, an evolutionary, like, point of view, where it's, like, fucking, if you eat human flesh, like, your brain chemicals are going to, like, turn you off because we don't want you, like, bigger survival fucking thing. Like, we can't have you as part of society anymore because you're going to make less people in there once you start eating it. And then, like, it does also make sense that like once you eat fucking human flesh, you want more of it so that everyone else in the community can be like, hey, you, that, which it's kind of like the first time your mom ate a dick. She just never fucking stopped after that. Like, oh, sorry, I just need more. Did I get it? Did I get it out?
You timed that perfectly as I took a swig as well. Oh. Right. Sticky water horse versus deformed cannibal man. Yeah, again, Wendigo's losing to the Kelpie because once it like goes in to latch its claws and it's stuck, it can't move. So like, and then if it goes to bite the Kelpie, it will just get stuck again. So like, the Kelpie has the edge of a lot of. It's really hard with cryptids in the UK and Ireland because all of them are linked to folklore. Whereas obviously a lot of American cryptids are now, but you've modernized your cryptids away from the folklore. So like when you look into the history behind them, obviously there's a lot of Native American folklore, European folklore, Mesoamerican folklore and stuff like that all sort of converges, but it's all been very modernized into a more realistic standpoint, whereas our stuff never really received a software update. So it's all really mythological still.
Yeah, well, I mean, like think about it though. Like the one-off monsters, like sure, fucking like the Jersey Devil, the Bell Witch, whatever. That happened when it happened. But like you go into like Wendigos or Skinwalkers or Bigfoots, it's like yeah, dude, like somebody saw one of those Thursday. Like I don't need to tell you a 200-year-old story about it when like Bob saw one. You want to go talk to Bob? Bob's like right there. Yeah, man, I saw that thing. you know.
It is interesting that it's why I like getting away from more urban environments, because when you go into more of the countryside and like traditional villages, you start getting the stories of like, oh yeah, no, like Black Annis lives up the road. Yeah, she's a witch. She'll eat your kids sometimes. Like you get, and the stories go from like jokey to genuine. Or like, and it's always in the back of my head. It was like, I think that obviously some of these stories are complete fabrications and just myths.
Yeah,
like goblins in the woods, don't go into the woods because you'll like, or stuff like that. But I think there is always a grain of truth in every story, and I think as we've become more urbanized and as we've moved away from nature and stuff, we find the stories laughable, because I think a part of us is too scared at the mere idea that they may be true. Like a banshee can obviously be put aside as a fox screaming in the night, like the washerwoman washing your clothes. Bear in mind, the Morrigan also converges on all of these, and so like everyone knows the washerwoman is like, it's not really a cryptid. The banshee is a cryptid because it would just be a woman. Or the
is the banshee? I thought the banshee. I would put the banshee in ghost or demon
I would
territory.
put the banshee in straight in cryptid story, because it's like, yeah, it's got, again, that's what I mean. Our stuff hasn't received a software update where it's been updated to a cryptid status.
Also, again, not to play the race card, but like, oh no, a screaming Irish woman, fucking, oh no, running through the countryside. Hey, how much whiskey you had tonight, fucking Margaret? Shut it! Get inside!
We've also got the Quenig, which was, instead of where obviously the Banshee signals one person dying in the family, the Quenig was famously heard when the English sent the was actually another Scottish clan did the deed, but the Dutch King of England at the time, William of Orange, sent the.
Hold on. There was a Dutch King of England named William the Orange.
Yeah,
you're fucking with me, right? Like it's, I know it's June. Like is this like a June thing?
No,
because this sounds like a June thing.
There was a Dutch King of England called William of Orange.
Dude, I've been to a gay gangbang, and what you just said is the gayest thing I've ever fucking heard.
I don't have a comeback for that. I actually don't have a comeback for that.
Oh no, I'm sure he got his comeback.
Anyway,
right into his mouth.
The MacDonald clan in Scotland didn't pay a fealty quick enough, and so he sent a load of people up. Oh, what was the clan that, like, there'll be a Scottish person that will see this video at some point in the comments like, those bastards. I know exactly. It's the, it began with a C. No, it's not that C word. I mean, no, I've lost my train of thought now. But anyways, so they go down to like it's really treasonous what they do. Obviously, it's very Red Wedding style. So all of the soldiers go into the town. Each one gets like lives in with a family. This is a real historical event. The mythological side of it, which is less cryptid, more fairy tale. It's the Quenig, which is, it's harbingers like a lot of death and a lot of pain and suffering. It's quite literally the earth or nature materializing as pain and suffering. That is what my idea of the Quenig is. Also, how I'm pronouncing it, not how it's spelled. It is one of those the thing I've learned with Gaelic words is 100% how you read it is not how it's pronounced, and vice versa. Whereas the critics like call is heard, and all of the MacDonald clan are like going, what's going on? We've invited all of these soldiers into our homes, and then obviously while they'd all got drunk and feasted, the soldiers wake up and start burning down houses and families alive, and then like a load of people escape and like die of frostbite and stuff like that in the cold, hypothermia. Horrific thing, but it's famously heralded because the Quenig like screams the earth, the Highlands essentially trying to warn them what's about to happen. And the Quenig is like the ultimate banshee story I find, which is like, we know the historical event happened, but there is also multiple witnesses from the night that claim they heard the Quenig, which I think is just I think that was quite literally the Scottish Highlands yelling out in warning against the English. If people who know me know, I'm actually, through English and Scottish history, I'm very pro-Scottish the entire way through. I'm not gonna lie. I want to live in the country. I'm prepping it so that they think I'm one of the good Englishmen. Um, where are we going? Sewelly said, I did the ninja jumping along with the car, but I never had the lamppost man. Okay, fair enough. So that's similar to my story. Andrei Radchenko says, I'll take my chances with the horse. You can keep the crazy cannibals. Pumpkin Vest says, the Washington Eagle will be a better fit for cross-examination with the Owl Man. Here you go. The Washington Eagle is an eagle that Audubon described and painted. They're supposed to have a 10-foot wingspan, but no one has ever seen it since, and they were supposed to be specimens in museums. That sounds like the Thunderbird, which I have a very rough idea of what the Thunderbird is in Native American folklore and mythology. That to me sounds like the Thunderbird. So Willie says, little German boy, you took the extra piece of bread at supper today. You know the punishment for gluttony, and the Goblin Lord eats the little hands in his sleep. Pumpkin Bear says, no one can find specimens. Andrei Radchenko says, agreed about the birds. We used to think that the moa were a myth until we started digging them up. It turned out that people hunted them to extinction centuries ago. Stephen Patrick says goblins eat babies. Pumpkin Bear says pocket dimensions, gotta love them. Andrei Radchenko says plot twist, there really are goblins in the woods. Klimpo's gang is a menace and keeps the whole county paralysed with terror. So Willie says almost died of hypothermia at my first cadet camp. I'm glad you didn't. Pumpkin Bear, hey, do you keep stuff nowadays? Oh, that's a dog thing. Pumpkin Bear, understandable, I know, but can you keep basic emergency camping gear on through it's my own experience pocket dimensions and the cryptids, which I find ironic that I work with dogs nowadays. I do have a lot of camping gear. My bag, I don't like regular suitcase and stuff. I do have camping gear because I like to go out, but I don't carry it with me 24/7. Although, quite famously, I went to see Count Daedalus a few weeks ago for his birthday, and my bag was like full to the brim, and I was there one night. So I'm that person that will like manage to fit everything into one bag, because I am like when I was younger and I used to go camping, everyone would come to me because if they needed something, there was a 100% chance I had it, and it was like a TARDIS bag, or like the bag that Hermione has in the end of Harry Potter books, whereas most people have seen the films where she's just like pulling stuff out because it's an infinite bag. That was me basically. But yeah. We've got a few more. Andrei Radchenko says, stop lusting after blue cannibal women with clanky dentals. Ongen Judovic says, hi. Andrei Radchenko said, in my opinion, the sea monster is that flayed pseudo centaur, really creepy and weird. Yeah, no, I've heard that Loch Ness Monster is more likely to be like a turtle. I don't really believe in like the serpent version. I think it would be, but I also kind of think it would most like. I like the idea it's a dinosaur that didn't go extinct.
Yeah, or it's a log.
Yeah, I know there's multi-millionaires out of that tourism industry, so they're gonna keep that alive for a long time.
It's totally not just a marketing gimmick.
Yeah. It probably existed at some point, but it was probably hunted a long time ago, if it did ever exist. But I like to believe it's still there. That's
actually why the Romans built Hadrian's Wall. They saw that and like, nope, wall, fuck it.
Well, you imagine that if any of the cryptids in Scotland are real, like the weird alien creatures, like brownies and boggarts running around, like the Amphiolaeth Moor, entire like tribes of supposed monsters and stuff. Imagine that, like, because the Scottish or the Picts at that point got obliterated by the Romans, and then they basically just went to guerrilla warfare. Like, people forget Scotland was Rome's Vietnam. Like, literally, they went in, they won, and then the natives went, cool, so we're just gonna guerrilla warfare this, and then the Romans were like, this isn't worth it, and left. It's literally the exact same story. But like all they would have, like, if the Romans were experiencing like similar, like hearing from captives, like, oh, don't go into the woods, the fairies will get you. What do you mean the fairies? Oh, you've seen those circles. Well, if you go in them, Lanius went into one of them, and then you're all like shitting yourself, and then there's just a load of pigs laughing at you in the prison camp, being like, yeah, I told them that if they walk into a circle, they're gonna like get kidnapped in the night. And that's why they all just left and built the wall. Furries would go crazy for the female woodrose. From Sir Willie. Pugger Bear, conversation like this is why God abandoned us as a species. Andrei Radchenko, didn't the Greeks also put dongs on roadside shrines? Yes. Andrei Radchenko, certified a fair of the broken Herms moment. Oh no, Cletus is a cryptid, that's slavery. Okay, guys, the house elves don't want to be slaves. Alright, I'm dipping. Alright, see you later, Pumpkin Bear. And then we've got Stephen Patrick saying, Wretched Hammond vibes, might become a Wendigo then. Fun fact, it's why carrots are orange. Because of William. I'm assuming that's because we're talking about William of Orange.
Yeah, because they used to be purple up until, like, what, 100 years ago?
Yeah. It's the same as bananas. Bananas used to be red. And then they were... But a lot of fruits that we have now were changed for either British and French taste buds or American. And it's a more modern mutation, like avocados. It's normally American. Also, not so fun fact, the cartels in Mexico kill a lot of people every year over avocados. So if you're a hippie and you like avocados, you've killed a lot of people.
Well, it's funny though too, because like you've had like candy that like tastes like watermelon or grape or banana or something, and you're like, this doesn't taste anything like this. It's like, well, when they made that candy 70 years ago, that's what the fruit tasted like.
Yeah.
And then like over just the last 70 years, those fruits have mutated to not taste like that anymore.
Oh, our Pumpkin Bear says, I'm still here. Well, you said you were dipping earlier. I was just responding to your message. The King asks, is Shrek a cryptid?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, because like Shrek's an ogre, right?
Yeah, which would make him. It's literally a fairy tale story, isn't it?
Now, if they remade Shrek and set it in Alabama, that wouldn't be a cryptid either. That would just be some dude that lives in Alabama.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. This is from Stephen Patrick again. I'm very interested in your answer to this. I have what I think is the correct answer, but mine's going to be very boring and historical. Why do you think the Romans' 9th Legion went missing? That's the legion that went missing in Scotland. I have the answer to it. It's just very boring compared to what you're going to come out with.
You go first.
So the currently historically accepted answer is they didn't go missing. It was just not documented that they were moved, and the 9th Legion just appears in Northern Africa. So it just appears that they just were redistributed like you would an armed force nowadays, whereas they're just moved where they were needed. And as we were pulling back from the northern frontier, because you have to remember, Britain as a whole was a drain on the empire. The Romans only had it to be like, look what we got. And then the second the going got tough, they were like, we're getting by, do it yourself. And then the Saxon mercenaries come in, and then England, British Empire hams. But yeah, that's the official story, is that they literally just marched south and the paperwork wasn't filed properly, because we do have reports of them being in Africa and stuff. So there's just a time gap between them being in. But yeah, so officially they didn't go missing. It's just a historical misconception. But what's the more fun answer that you're going to give?
Oh, I don't have one. I was just going to say to get to the other side.
Is that the answer you want? See, that joke doesn't work unless you let me go first as well. That's your I see what you wanted me to go first now.
No, literally. They went to the other side of the Mediterranean.
Literally, they went to the other side of the Mediterranean.
The other side.
Although there's a very interesting episode of Doctor Who where the 9th Legion goes in and fights a demon in another dimension. It's Peter Capaldi.
There's a movie. I think it's called. Oh fuck. There's like 3 movies that came out about the same time, or I saw them about the same time, so I kind of mix them up. One was called Legionnaire or Centurion. One was called The Eagle, and I forget what the other one was. But in one of them, the 9th Legion goes up into Scotland, and the movie's about like
Is that the
everyone
one
gets killed.
Is that the
Everyone's
one where
getting
she's a
killed.
mute?
Like,
Is that what like
maybe?
she's a pick? They have a picked guide, and then it turns out that she was like captured by the Romans and molested as a child by the Romans, and then like the reason that they keep dying is because she's leading them into traps.
Yeah, and then like the end of it, it just turns out like all the Romans get killed except for one, and it becomes Die Hard in Scotland.
But then he like rides back, and when he gets to the wall, they think he's a Pict because he's in full Pict clothing by that point because all his armor's destroyed, and they shoot him with an arrow, and he dies.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain now that it's a really cool premise. A lot of anytime someone goes the Ninth Legion, and I'm like, this is a really cool premise that you're going to complete, and they've wasted it. The Doctor Who has been the only one that had done a decent one, I think, and that was a Capaldi episode. Tough Jiggly says, do you guys think ghosts and spirits count as cryptids?
No, I think they were different.
Yeah, I think we've established by the way we've like been very clear when one of us has told a story that it's sort of veering away from cryptid stuff. But again, you can debate. Like, I think there is some stuff that blurs the line, like banshees and boggarts really blur the line between cryptid and fae, like folktales.
Yeah. No, but actually, what happened to the fucking Ninth Legion was they were a crack commando unit that was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. And then, they promptly escaped from the maximum security stockade of the Los Angeles Underground. Still wanted by the Roman Empire. They survived as soldiers as fortune. If you can find them and you can pay them, you might be able to hire the Ninth Legion.
I would watch that show. That should be your next writing project. You need to write the Ninth Legion as the A-team.
I got one. I don't know if I'm going to write it or not, as its full thing, or just make it a short story. But I want to write a book about a planet of werewolves, right? Like, and they're all werewolves because they got 50 fucking moons, and at all time there's always a full moon, right?
Yeah.
And then they get to the space age and they start sending people into outer space, but the astronauts that go into outer space transform into like weird hairless monkeys, and they're like, why are we stopping being werewolf or dogmen and start being monkey people? And like, I don't know how to do it yet, but that's the idea. Like, they're not actually giant wolves, they're werewolves, but because there's always a full moon, they don't know that they're people.
I get the phrase.
Yeah.
So technically they become werehumans accidentally.
Yeah, something like that.
Where are we going? Stephen Patrick says carrots were purposely cultivated to be the orange variation over blue and purple versions purely because of his title. So yeah, not only did he massacre Scottish people, he also changed carrots.
Bastard.
Yeah, Andre Pachinko. Thank God I only like bananas. General fruit becoming uncanny. Do you get them in a republic? This little banana. There's gonna be some people like, "What's a banana republic?" And I'm gonna be like, "You can Google it." That's a 4-hour episode of explaining banana republics on its own.
Venezuela.
Yeah. Actually, Google Venezuela banana. No, I want to tell Cryptids. You kind of got a towel with Cryptids. We explained the Doctor Who episode. Pumpkin Bear Part 1. I like the purple Skittles. Here in the USA, the purple Skittles are grape flavoured. From what I understand, in the UK, it's blackcurrant. Yes, they are blackcurrant in the UK. The USA was and is still not used to blackcurrant. Interesting.
To what?
It's blackcurrant. Apparently, you don't have blackcurrant. So apparently, Skittles in America are...
I am hearing the word black cunt.
Blackcurrant. Blackcurrant.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no idea what that is. How do you spell that? I'll Google it real quick.
Black and then Current. It'll probably change it if I spell it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curant. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
That kind of proves the point of the comment, to be fair. Part 2. When blackcurrant started being brought over, the plants started bringing a disease that started killing off native trees and harming a lot of other crops. So they banned the plant until very recently. Interesting. Stephen Patrick says, and that was a Capaldi episode. Does that make it lesser? I think you mean that makes it better. Listen, Peter Capaldi As my one of my favorite YouTubers, Nerdrotic, says, Peter Capaldi is one of the best doctors, and he's a very good actor, and he acts the part very well. He just had Stephen Moffat losing his mind slowly.
Yeah, no, Capaldi was a fucking great doctor. Fucking, he just got shit episodes.
Yeah, it's the same as it's like that's why Jodie Whittaker's Doctor failed, because Jodie Whittaker is an okay actor with awful stories.
Yeah.
And whereas Capaldi is amazing.
What was Clara's name? What's that actress's name?
Jen Louise Coleman. Could anyone tell that I really like that actress, because I could immediately do it.
Wait, what?
Jen Louise Coleman. It's a double barrel name.
That's it. Yeah. I would eat a mile of that chick shit just to see where it came from.
Do you know what's funny? We haven't been taken down yet. We haven't been taken down yet, and I don't know how. Tough Jiggly says, I like thinking Ninth Legion just went missing trying to raid Shrek Swamp. Tough Jiggly said, maybe it could be better following a single were-human on that transforms on a new moon. Interesting. Tough Jiggly says the acting was great, the writing was not. Yeah, that's basically Peter Capaldi's episode. It's just Stephen Moffat trying to put a lot of edgy stuff as well in, I noticed, towards the end of his writing. Stephen Moffat was really good 5 years ago, and that's saying something. As a Stephen Moffat simp, I loved Sherlock and everything. Pardon me, but the final season of Sherlock's quite mid as well. Running over on the TikTok side, Running Cribble says stream was late because of the moustache styling. And then SPG says, Yo, History Daddy, you know Cook Islands and Niue are independent countries. I believe you said that before, SPG. Also, speaking of the USA and UK, the UK and USA had territorial disputes in the US and the UK. I don't know if you've or were aware of this. We've had a lot.
We have a few territorial disputes.
Yeah, we've had a few.
Some are pretty big, man.
The USA claimed the entirety of the modern-day Cook Islands, Tuvalu and Tokelau. I didn't know that. I know we've had a few other territorial disputes.
Gimme no.
E2 97. Thank you for the messages. I don't know what language that's in. I think it's Finnish. I do apologize, but I can't. I'm from Finland. I got it right. Okay, it was Finnish. I got it right. Here is some confusion to all who understand my language. Yeah, I can't read that. I do deeply apologize. And I'm also
you
drunk.
Think it would auto translate?
Yeah, that it does on YouTube. To be fair. And I'm also drunk. I'm glad that you're enjoying your Sunday in Finland while drunk. And he ends it with ho ho. Pearl, a Civil War lover, says
that's how they laugh there.
And Colty, the cartels like anime too. Yeah, there was a story. There was a Mexican guy who like solo killed the entire cartels. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm more of a Matt Smith. Tough Jiggly on YouTube side says I'm more of a Matt Smith fan overall. He played the wacky anime well. Matt Smith is objectively the best Doctor. Anyone who says otherwise is a paedophile. Can I say that?
That was a jump to make.
It's fine. It's just
hey, yeah. I have a question for the Doctor Who community, because like, you know how he kept in the old one he kept hanging out with the Brigadier. You know, like, I'm totally an alien and I don't care about human stuff, but let me go do this for England real quick. And then like in the newer ones, there's that blonde chick that worked for the government in the Tower of London, where, you know, Doctor Who wasn't. I'm sorry, the Doctor, you know, wasn't working for England. He's, you know, some weird space alien, but, you know, he comes and does jobs for England now and again. How come we never went to fucking stop Epstein's Island?
Fixed point in history. The showrunners would argue it's a fixed point in history. It's the same as World War. Right. He can't stop World War II because it's a fixed point in history.
Weren't there like several alien fucking invasions where they come and wipe out human life, and then like, oh yeah, sorry, that's we can fix that real quick. Also, we're gonna like make everybody forget that happened.
For a scientific show,
that's not fixed.
For a scientific show, you just kind of have to accept that a lot of it doesn't make sense.
What's scientific about this? I got lights that go boop when you press them. Oh,
basically. Stephen Patrick, monster transformation horror, but inversed. I like it. It's very good. Also, if you like that idea, Tripp, where else can I experience your writing?
Oh, I got a novel series. It's called Smoke Pit Fairy Tales. It's awesome. Go read it. I'm working on the audiobooks right now. I got a YouTube channel. I got a chapter that comes out every week. Somebody over here plays one of the characters in several of the characters
Yeah,
in it. Although I don't think your stuff's up yet.
I can't wait.
I think your chapters should be hitting YouTube sometime the next month.
I can't wait for the blooper reel of that one character. You know, the one I really got overly invested in, and I was like, I feel like I got into this one a bit too much, and you was like, no, you can tell you enjoyed playing this character.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys will see it soon on the YouTube. On the YouTube. You can also get early access to it on a Patreon, can't they?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I think on Patreon we're 8 or 9. No, I just uploaded the 7th chapter for the 4th book there earlier this week. So we're about. I'm trying to get a full book ahead, but you know the books are all different lengths, so you know that's kind of like a
It's fun.
metric.
It's fun and games.
But yeah.
I mean, you're doing better with my book. I've got too invested with work at the moment, so my book is lagging behind again, which you're going to immediately do your normal speech of sit down and write the book, which I might do some tonight. Actually, I need to relax a bit. I've had a very busy week. What we got? Aslan is a church's official fursona. Yes. For those of you who don't know and you've read the Narnia books, Aslan in Narnia is literally Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just the embodiment of Jesus. And the name of the guy who wrote Narnia has just gone out of my head. It's J.R.R. Tolkien's best mate.
C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, C.S. Lewis was actually a massive atheist, and then Tolkien converted him, and then C.S. Lewis was like an just amount as hardcore Christian as Tolkien was.
Yeah, and it's fun watching you like be in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm like the new happy. I keep seeing memes like the difference between new Christians and long-term Christians. Like new Christians, like I'm happy. I follow everything properly, and it's like long-term Christians just like takes out a wine bottle and goes just starts downing all the wine. Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah, no. It's like I was baptized as a kid. I've been a Christian forever, so it's like I'll see you in heaven, buddy. Cool. Well, let's go bang these whores. I mean,
yeah.
Listen, if I don't sin, Jesus died for nothing. All right.
There's a scary amount of logic behind that.
No. You know what's worse is like canonically, fucking at the Garden of Gethsemane, fucking Christ saw every sin that was ever going to happen by fucking everyone and decided to fucking do it anyway. Which means that he saw some dude blasting rope to Waluigi fucking Hente and said, "You know what? I'm gonna go die for that guy." Jesus Christ was a fucking Chad.
Not just that, he has seen multiple guys like staying at home generating AI girlfriends and still went, this is a species worth saving.
Yeah.
And that
fucking
actually no, I'm gonna traumatize the chat with what you traumatized me with a few weeks ago now. Like Tripp sent me this VTuber video of her reading out a guy's fantasy of how much he wants to bang the dog woman from Animal Crossing, right? And she read that out, this entire thing, right? And and it gets worse and worse because all he's doing is how much he wants to breed the dog woman from Animal Crossing. And like it's getting really aggressive. By the end, it ends with his dad found him with the neighbor's dog with a skirt on, and he was just going to town, and he's now homeless. And then the follow-up video from was the VTuber was her apologizing and saying it's not her story. She doesn't want to bang the Animal Crossing. People pay her to read their stuff, and I'm like, you could not waterboard that information out. But the best part of that entire saga was Tripp waited until he knew I'd finished it. And he just went, just remember, Jesus saw all of our sins. He saw that, and he still died for us.
Well, you know what's funny about that video, though, something I didn't catch the first time, is when she's talking about coming in her boxers. It was like, wait, is she talking about underwear or like the dog breed? That was a really good double entendre there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's morally good double entendre, but it's
you know what I mean. From a literary point of view.
Pumpkin Bear says you on all messages. Yes, I was jumping back and forth between a few. That's why it looked like I was skipping messages. Pumpkin Bear says David Tennant is my favorite actor. On me. He played David Tennant's cool. I don't know why I'm burping so much. Pardon me. He's a very versatile actor as well. Andre Radchenko says. Andre.
I was gonna say there's another fucking good one. I forget what his name is. He's one of the old ones, but when he was in the like Royal Navy, he got drunk in Thailand or something and woke up with this big fucking cobra tattoo, and then got out of the Navy and got into acting, and he played the Dr. Forbid in the 70s. So it's just canon that incarnation of the Doctor had a fucking giant cobra tattoo on his forearm.
Probably Steve in the chat. You're the Doctor Who expert. I have a feeling that's John Pertwee. Just sounds like something John Pertwee would. It's very well known that John Pertwee, he got around. He liked his women. He was a doctor. He was a doctor who got out there. But yeah, that sounds like a very John Pertwee thing to do. Also, John Pertwee is a really hard name to pronounce. It makes me think I have a lisp. Chuff Jiggly, the rules are a few. Andrei Radchenko says, while drunk part was unnecessary, we all know that sober people physically don't exist in Finland. The King says Matt Smith was good in The Crown. He is. And Tough Jiggly says, thanks Jesus, in response to him dying for our sins despite the large amount of weird Rule 34.
Did you ever see the fucking weird knockoff movie where Peter Cushing played the Doctor?
Yes, I've seen that. It's one of my favorite. I actually really like that. It's one of my favorite childhood films. Pumpkin Bear says, I heard Mattis read out a fan fiction of him, X the Grimace, on a live stream. I've had people promise me they're gonna make fan fiction of me, and then demand I read it out on a live stream, and it hasn't happened yet, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Well, have you searched Literotica to see if they did it or not?
I'm also kind of scared that if it actually is, I'm more happy in the idea that I saw the comment and it's no, okay, no, it's fine, then it hasn't happened. But if I go on Literotica and it's actually gonna be there, I feel like it's gonna if someone writes fan fiction about you, it's not gonna be tasteful.
No. Well, I mean, there's plenty of fucking weird kinky shit that goes on in my books that you're kind of voice acting. Around.
That's true. Yeah, around. Scenes. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I don't think I've had a weird space sex scene. I've made weird. Actually, no wait. If I tell you what, if Tripp ever releases the bloopers, without spoiling what characters I played and what I did, there's a certain sound I had to make for a certain thing I had to do. I'm being so careful because I don't know what I can and cannot say. You know the exact sound I was making. Yeah, it sounds. If it's played in context, you understand what sound I'm making. But if you take it out of context, it sounds like something completely different. Because the immediate response I got from Tripp was like, "Are you doing what?" And I'm like, "No, I'm gargling water."
Well, yeah, no. On if you get the audiobook, it's not going to be there. But if you listen to it on YouTube, at the individual chapters have the blooper reel there. And then I think the third book I did put the bloopers in, but it's its own track at the end of the book, and it's an hour long, and it's if you download the audiobook, half of it's a blooper reel at the back.
So I think the first time I did voice acting for you, I got rid of the bloopers, and then the second time you was like, no, keep them in. I want the bloopers.
Yeah, I want the bloopers. It's good for content.
Yeah. And we'll take in the last comment before we disappear, because it is nearly 10 o'clock for me, and we've been going for 2 hours. And I said to Tripp, it'll be fine. It'll only be an hour.
That'll be fine.
Tough Jiggly says, good thing about your name is it perfectly blends with the fanfics. Even if there is one, it will be buried, lol. And so Waleed finishes off, says, I thought you guys were about to end, so I left 50 minutes earlier, and I left 50 minutes later, you're still going. That basically sums up. To be fair, the last 50 minutes have been the ultimate tangent, pretty much. But yeah, right. We're actually disappearing this time. So Tripp, where can they find you?
You put a link in the thing. Just click that.
Yeah, there should be. There should be. Let me double check. I've definitely put the link.
Or if he didn't, just go to smokepitfairytales.com and all the links are.
Hang on, let me double check. I definitely put a link in. I'm fairly certain I
put go either buy my books or listen to the audiobook version of it on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. The only excuse you have not to do it is because you don't want to. So there you go.
Yes, all your links are in there. Actually, there is a direct link to buy the Smoke Pit Fairy Tales on Amazon in the description as well, as well as all the socials. So yeah, you've got no excuse, guys. Come on, at least get the first book. And if you want to try it out before you get any of the books, you can try it out for free on YouTube, as Tripp says. So Yeah, there's no excuse. It's all on YouTube, and all the links are in the description. So thank you very much for coming on, Tripp.
Thanks for having me.
This has been a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think we really did much comparing of cryptids, but we actually stayed on topic for most of the stream, I think.
Yeah. And the Bogart would win most fights except for Bigfoot, because Bigfoot will be driving a 1977 Ford F-250 with a fucking sawed-off homemade shotgun and a pair of fucking glasses and way too much fucking Coors Light blaring Molly Hatchet. I don't care how big that fucking Wendigo is, man. Fucking, he's about to get fucking taught where this is, boy, America. Woo!
Yeah,
I feel like
on the next podcast we should just start picking random countries with the weirdest cryptids. Because if you go into like Polish cryptids, that stuff is Polish Brazilian cryptids.
I think like we should like divide it up. Like, all right, like we each get like at countries whatever, and we have to do the research for it. But then like say you say cryptid 1, I say cryptid 2. Before we go to cryptid 3, we have to decide which of those two would win in a fight.
Yeah. We had to do it a bit more structured.
3, like a big bracket. Like whoever won between 1 and 2 has to fight 3, and then whoever won that one has to fight 4, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that would be sick. I reckon. Yeah, if we get a bit more structured, but also that would be more. I think we'll plan it more in advance. That one. This was like a sort of test one. If we plan it like a month in advance, that gives us time to be like pick our cryptids and pick the countries and stuff.
Like I'll go get like a dry erase board.
Yeah,
and we'll
We'll do a full-on competition. But yeah, guys, right, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. And end on TikTok. And end the stream on